Welcome everybody to our webinar. My name is Leela Gill. I am the Chief Marketing Officer at xiQ, the first personality-driven sales and marketing platform designed for B2B sales. You're joining us on a very special day when we have two amazing speakers. We're going to talk about how Dell's services teams are thriving in the new B2B sales landscape. With me today is the amazing Director of Services Sales at Dell Technologies, Mr. Eric Schmude. On the screen, you see his personality profile as predicted by xiQ. He is definitely a leader, and he has managed services sales teams across the United States, focusing on consulting, deployment, cloud, and support services to businesses and institutions across all of Dell's verticals. And his teams work directly with Dell customers and Dell service providers to help them in designing, implementing, migrating, and supporting their IT infrastructures and applications. Welcome, Eric.
Thank you, Leela. Appreciate it. Happy to be here.
Awesome. And also with us is the amazing Usman Sheikh, our founder and CEO. Prior to, and as you can see on the screen here, he is a driver personality as predicted by xiQ's personality-based selling platform. Prior to founding xiQ, Usman served in several vice president roles with global responsibility at SAP, including product management, sales enablement, and digital commerce. Welcome, Usman.
Good morning.
Thank you. All right, so I'm just going to quickly go through an agenda and set the context, and we'll open it up for a great conversation with Eric and Usman. So we're going to walk through three questions today. We're first going to talk about how Dell is adapting to the evolving B2B landscape. Lots have changed in the last couple of years. We know that. We're going to also look forward and see what they're doing in 2023. And then we're going to talk about how do you engage in a value-added way throughout the customer journey, not just at that sales point, but throughout the time that you're talking to the customer before and after that sale. And then we'll wrap it up with a Q&A. So to set the context, I'd like to just, talk about the elephant in the room, which is B2B selling has changed. We all know that there's been a dramatic disappearance of in-person meetings. And in fact, the buying committee has expanded to something on the order of 6 to 10 people. And so the power of that buying committee has also increased. In fact, 94% of all decisions are made by or through a buying group or a buying committee of some sort. Not only that, but the time that salespeople get with buyers has reduced significantly. In fact, these days after COVID, only about 5% of us salespeople only get about 5% of the time with their actual buyers. So the time and the face-to-face meetings has reduced. So we don't get that in-person or connection points anymore like we did before COVID. And last, we know that the complexity of the deals have increased incredibly. There is something like 39% of all deals get stuck in the pipeline. And we're also seeing some very incredible transformations on buyers and sellers. 30% of people that are buyers have changed jobs. 39% of salespeople have changed jobs. So there's a lot of transition going on. And that's the context that we wanted to set for today's conversation. So Eric, we want to open this up for a quick conversation with you. We're going to take about 40 more minutes, and we'll probably wrap it up for 5 minutes and have 5 minutes for Q&A. The first question we wanted to talk about really is how has Dell adapted to this new B2B sales environment?
Wow, yeah, it's a great question, Leela, and you kind of hit on it a little bit, but first and foremost, we just see a tremendous influx of virtual meetings. So Zoom and Teams and the technology, there's been all sorts of technology enablers, but also our companies have invested significantly in enabling those platforms and architectures. Connectivity gives us the ability to really bring a lot of people together, in some instances in a very short amount of time. But, it's, you think about it, I don't think I've played golf in a year. I've been to much less restaurants as far as, going out to dinner with our customers. It's just, more of a virtual relationship than ever. Because of that, we've seen, a lot of things specifically around, look, the sales cycles seem to be longer. So when you get in and you have conversations, you're not talking with one person that's maybe ready to buy. You're talking with multiple people and working and understanding the way these people work. What are their motivations? How do you work together to gain consensus is a big challenge that we see. And look, to your point, we also are dealing with customers that are much more informed. So they're getting information prior to meetings specifically around products. And you would think that they're looking at white papers or maybe seeking advertisements, but they're actually getting their perspectives from articles and things like that. So in many instances, you're coming in for the first time, introducing yourself to prospective buyers that are well informed, and you need to have a strategy in place to really kind of break the ice, get to understand, not just individual buyers, but to your point, buyer groups as a whole. And, using AI to kind of bring all that together in preparation for a meeting is top of mind for our sellers.
Yeah, I would say that one of the observations I've seen with Dell in particular is how you are really leveraging AI in so many ways to help free up your salespeople so that they can think more strategically. You're using the AI to collect intelligence, to keep informed, so they don't have to spend any more time on the research part or just, keeping up with what's happening. And then also the personality dynamics, I think, plays a big role. Maybe Usman, you can speak a little bit to how, what you're seeing in the marketplace with respect to virtual selling and how important it is for those personality profiles or people to understand the personality of the person on the other end of the Zoom box, as we like to say.
Yeah, that's the new reality. Eric says he hasn't dusted off his golf clubs for over a year. Reality is xiQ in its 3 years or so has hardly ever done any in-person client meetings. We do all our selling and we hardly ever meet people on the other side. Yet, as quite correctly Eric has pointed out, we're seeing the groups, there's more people involved in the buyer group is playing an important role. We are also discovering that if you don't know who's involved in that decision-making group, it could end up being a sabotage at the end by somebody. So knowing that upfront and, the behavioral insights that xiQ puts together helps us formulate and identify people based on psychological models that have existed, people that would be potentially your allies or doers, and individuals that could coach and be in roles that can help you understand the landscape within the company, but are not really capable of necessarily taking a decision or helping you move. And also those kind of personality types that are naturally inquisitive, might be asking a lot of questions, might challenge the need for your solution.
Yeah.
And Eric, that's kind of really important, right? Because not knowing how many times has this happened that we go into a sales cycle and right at the end, some personality shows up, and I use the word personality without any pun intended, and starts to derail, right? And if had we known that upfront earlier, and we would have been much more prepared, right? So personality selling helps us, first of all, understand the mental makeup and the behavioral makeup of the different people that will be involved in the decision-making cycle. And knowing that, we can then plan how to approach them one-on-one, right? Or how to approach them collectively as a group. And
yeah, that's really a great call out, Usman. And look, it kind of gets me thinking about an example of one of our sellers out in Brazil. His name was Carlos, and it was a large retail company and they just recently merged. And what's funny is there were two competing IT companies, Dell and one of our competitors. And there were a lot of people that had different interests in mind and different thoughts around the companies and the IT platforms that they should select. And Carlos ended up, prior to the first meeting, kind of taking a look at the buyer groups. He had people from both companies that were coming together, had a little background on information on the people as well as their personality insights. And look, net was he came out of that very first meeting with a tremendous amount of momentum. He stuck with the combined company. We ended up winning a significant amount of IT, and we ended up being the company of choice with that newly formed company. So I thought it was a great way to kind of leverage that AI to really understand the buyer groups, kind of to your point.
Yeah, I love that story, Eric. First of all, that is part of what, when I set the context about all this change, buyers and sellers moving jobs, that story is not the first I've heard that. There's so much turnover, right? And there is a lot of new faces, and in this virtual world, not knowing that person on the other end, it makes a salesperson a little nervous, right? So I think Carlos obviously he did a fantastic job because he was able to win a very competitive deal, and having those insights and understanding the personalities. And then, the other thing that xiQ does is help you understand the dynamics, the doers, the coaches, the blockers in the buying group. So being able to not only just understand that one person, but able to understand the dynamics of the whole buying group. I'm sure he really leveraged that. I also wanted to share one other little story, which was Dell just had this amazing conference in Las Vegas. And I think Eric, was your first conference in 2 years. And I know we were honored to participate and be there with some of your salespeople, and they were using our xiQ. There were a couple of people that came up to me and said, I've never met these people before. I've got my xiQ on my mobile app. I'm going to use it to know exactly who I'm meeting. In fact, I think there were a few of them that told me that they would, it was a little bit of a conversation starter. It was fun. So that was another great story of how your team is really leveraging AI, not just on, in all forms, the desktop, the mobile, the notifications that come in through all of our 3 different ways, being able to use the Outlook integration and things like that. So that was another story I wanted to share with everybody. I thought it was a great example of how you can use xiQ on the fly and how you guys are using AI on the fly.
Yeah, if I may add, so Eric, one of the things you said earlier is a big influx of meetings, right? So preparation for you guys must, I think you put a lot of value on preparation and knowing the client up front, because if you don't, right, then you're going to have a bad meeting. And even though you have more volume of meetings, there'll be a lot more volume of bad first meetings. And that's a very high cost, right?
Yeah, that's exactly right, Usman. That preparation is key. And what's funny is with, conferences, for example, I remember that conference, and I had about 26 meetings across 3 days, and, understanding what's going on with all of those companies and all of the personalities that you're going to be interacting with, pretty daunting. I got a kick out of one of the meetings in which our global VP, he comes in and he says, all right, Eric, what's the strategy? And it really brought to light, and I was glad that I was in a position to say, well, here's who we're meeting with. Here is, the particular buyers. This is their company. This is the competitive landscape. And then from there, this intelligence, we were able to quickly craft, hey, look, these are the things that the customer is going to be interested in. These are the problems that we can help, them solve. And we ended up having a very successful, that particular meeting, but pretty much all of the meetings were a great success outside of my sport coat not fitting. I'm not sure. So
That's
we
awesome.
made
That's
an
awesome.
investment on that. It's fixed
Yeah.
for next go round.
All right, to sort of summarize what we just talked about, I think that the Dell team is really using AI in a very progressive way to save them a lot of research time to understand better. And I love the word momentum, Eric, you use that word, to understand better than their competitors, who they're talking about, and go into a meeting feeling confident, having the momentum coming out of that meeting, and really being able to leverage AI in a way to give you insights, not just data, but insights. And I've heard that a lot too. People have told me, I don't need more data. I need more insights. I need intelligence. And xiQ not only gives you intelligence on the person, the personality type, but also, as you mentioned, Eric, 360 on the accounts. So you get that competitor briefing, you get those CXO, you understand the personalities of the CXOs, the social media posts. There's a lot of other information that's packed into the xiQ platform that we didn't really touch on today, but people, accounts, and industry trends are the three core components of the platform. Did you want to? Yeah.
If I may add. So Eric, I like what you said that, it was kind of spur of the moment. And the question was asked. And since you were very quickly, I think the couple of key things is that you were quickly able to ingest high quality information and present it so that you could formulate that strategy. So if I apply that back to your situation where you have a large volume of meetings coming in, and I apply this as an example where you could very quickly formulate a winning sales strategy, right? An educated sales strategy, one built on actual facts of what's happening within the business, who are the people, how could they potentially react, your chances of winning get better. But not only that, I think there was a side little note I got in there that it made you look good and prepared, right? And I think that's an important aspect as well, because as professional sellers, the one very important thing that we bring to the table is the ability to understand and analyze, right, how our clients would actually behave and how to formulate that sales strategy, right? And I think this example that you just cited is a great example of how you can do it extremely quickly as well, right?
Yeah. Awesome. Awesome. So we have two more questions. Let's go to the next one. Let's start to think forward here and have a conversation around B2B sales in 2023. It's right around the corner. We're halfway through the year. What are you seeing, Eric? What are you seeing you're going to do differently in 2023, or what are you going to be leveraging in 2023 with your teams, and where do you see B2B selling going in the next year?
Yeah, so I think first and foremost, there's a new focus on the strategy. So kind of the previous story. What is the strategy? And for us, the strategy used to be, hey, look, let's make sure I fully understand the ins and outs of our product. And let's take that and get that in front of customers. And the strategy needs to really be, hey, how am I going to be of value in this relationship? So think about it, to me, there's a lot of dynamics. The first one is longer sales cycles. The second dynamic is that you have, the solutions that we're selling are significantly more powerful solutions. And it brings together application developers, the C-suite, IT directors, HR. There's a lot of people that are part of the decision. And so we're really entering into a relationship. And when you enter into a relationship, you want to make sure that A, you get off to a good start, but B, that you have a good strategy in place to not just understand your buyers and your buyer groups, but also be in a position to where you're able to provide real-time value, intelligence, not just within your product, but in the account, the industry, competitors, and you do that with speed and efficiency. And really, our customers, if you think about it, our customers are probably more well informed than any other time that I've been interacting with them. And I think that a lot of it has to do with technology, but I also think that they're learning a little bit different. So instead of, they're coming into, meetings with some kind of preformed opinions. They've gone out, they've done their research. They're not watching advertisements as much. They're really reading articles, and they start to have perspectives. So understanding your buyer base is so important, and your buyer groups is so important that you can derail a sales campaign significantly at the beginning of it, but you can also derail it throughout. A lot of times, these long sales cycles, you may end up, having a meeting in which you have, some other buyers that are within the organization that may come in and challenge your ideas, even if it's at the last minute. And so having that relationship, adding value throughout, and using the recipe. Our recipe is, look, real-time information plus intelligence and speed allows us to bring value to that relationship and for our customers and the buyer groups. And when we bring that formula in and stick with it throughout the pursuit, we're very successful. And so, xiQ really helps my teams really kind of get all that information and really apply that recipe.
I love that formula. Real-time information plus intelligence plus speed helps you bring value. And that is an incredibly powerful statement and capability in today's world where competition has gotten really intense. A lot of people, all of our companies, all of our competitors are sort of doing the same motion. So who has the most information in real time? Like 2 weeks news 2 weeks ago, even a week ago is kind of old news today. So, being able to stay in front of what's happening in the industry at the account level with that particular person and with those buying groups is really critical. And I think Dell has got there's great stories of how I think your teams are leveraging the buying group capabilities within xiQ as well. So,
if I may, I want to highlight one thing, Eric. What you've kind of said in that formula, in that recipe, there's a lot of conventional wisdom. Relationship selling is conventional wisdom. It's just the tools that were available for us, in-person meeting, for example, or the golf game or the dinner. Those tools have been taken off the playing field, so to speak. And now we are resigned to doing things on social media. The new golf course is your digital landscape, right? Is your LinkedIn potentially, right? That's where you're reaching out. That's where you're connecting. And knowing how to connect to these people and being able to do it in a scalable manner and at speed, real time, right? The speed with which we can respond to a situation, in my opinion, is directly proportional to how good a relationship we'll be able to build with that, right? So if I need to earn your trust, I need to show I am invested in your business. And the way I show that I'm invested in your business is by knowing about it and sharing insights with you so that you are, as you're saying, I am more a value-added partner too. I'm helping educate you rather than sell to you, right? So that's a change in the motion of sales, right, Eric?
Oh, absolutely. You're spot on, Usman. And it's, what's funny is knowing the dynamics of the group itself is so important with that message as well. Like if you're just providing a solution to individuals, you're going to have 5 different strategies with 5 different individuals. The dynamic of the group is really interesting because it really allows us to look at, hey, how do these people fit in to the overall team? And then being in a position to not just understand our customers and being able to fully be knowledgeable and engaged in their business and help provide value throughout, you know what to do at that point. You then take the buyer groups that you're looking at and you put a strategy together for the group so it can kind of really bring consensus around the products and solutions that you're trying to work with your customers on to help them. I'll give you an example. Our top xiQ, so we take a look at our sales reps and the ones that are using xiQ. The top xiQ, he was an account executive. He's now a regional sales director in the region, and I credit a lot of his success to that exact approach that you're talking about. The compliments that we would get out of this account executive is, wow, this guy's really helping us. He's a great value add. Don't take him away from our team. And he was really part of the team. And now he's taking those best practices and sharing it across his entire team. And they're having a lot of success with it. So you're spot on. That's going to continue. That it's not just a trend, but it's really an expectation.
Yeah, Eric, I remember my days at SAP, and our favorite, in my opinion, one of the best salespersons that I've experienced was a vendor we had at SAP. And every executive at SAP used to call this person up to find out what was happening within SAP. Okay, so he had a lot of information about our company. He actually had more information about our company than people inside the company. And thereby, he was the trusted advisor to all these executives and was able to eventually build a huge business around SAP in supply chain management and then sell that business, right? And so, yeah, the currency of information and the time within which you use that currency is super important, right? And if there's a message to salespeople over here, it is that, in this modern day digital landscape, the new B2B sales landscape, where we are in virtual, we still have to build relationships. You need to be able to find the right information and become thought leaders. Start sharing that information in a manner where people start actually trusting you and start valuing the information. And yeah.
Absolutely. And yeah, so this is the last question, and we have about just a time check here. We're going to wrap this up in about 10 minutes. So we'll open it up for a few questions from anybody in the audience if you're interested in asking Eric or Usman a couple of questions. But yeah, still on the thought leader slide, just wanted to open up a couple of discussion points here about thought leadership. And, one of the other things that you can do within the xiQ platform, and Eric, I know your guys are doing this, is social selling. They're posting either publicly or privately about how they solve certain problems. I know there are a couple of Dell services salespeople that are sending private messages to LinkedIn from the real-time news that they're getting out of xiQ's platform, for example, and saying, hey, I saw that you guys just acquired this business. Would love to come in and do a consulting, opportunity for you. Let's just wrap this up by talking a little bit more about thought leadership. Usman, you touched on how important this is in adding value throughout the whole customer journey. And I wanted to just speak to that because I think, Eric, what your team is doing now is not just jumping in at the point of sale. I think they're providing value throughout the journey, throughout their engagement with the customer. Even if the customer is not quite ready to buy, they're still involved, they're still communicating, they're engaging in a much more thought leadership way.
Yeah, that's no doubt. When you were kind of going through that, I thought about our buyers. And when I first started at Dell many, many moons ago, I used to open the conversation up with, thank you for calling Dell. What can I build for you today? And, at that time, the buyers were seeking us out ready to buy. So that's not really the case anymore. Our customers are, there's a lot more competitors out there, first of all. There's more competitors. The enablement of, kind of social selling and virtualization and Zoom and Link and Teams meetings and you name it, allows many more competitors to potentially get in front of their customers. And so, as I mentioned, the sales cycles are a little longer. And a lot of times those customers really look for partners that can, again, add value. I mean, that's really what it is all about. And it's not, hey, look, add value, discount price. It's add value, show me how much you know about a product, but really provide thought leadership. And that is really understanding and being knowledgeable about my company, being engaged with me and my team, and being accountable, following through with good real-time information that allows our customers to get value out of that relationship. So I can't stress enough the importance of thought leadership. And, I think Usman hit on it as well. Data has a shelf life, and being able to kind of quantify the vast amount of data and information that exists to where you can kind of bundle it to actionable type strategic elements in your conversations is critical. And it's critical to do that in real time.
Absolutely.
Eric,
So, Usman, I'm going to give you the last word on this topic, and then we'll move into Q&A.
Yeah. So this is a very important topic. Eric, let me present a little hypothesis and see what you say. So traditionally, this sales makers have fallen into two categories: hunters and farmers, right? I see that as we move into the future, 2023 and beyond, to build a sustainable pipeline. So if I'm in sales, I'm relying on commissions as being my big source of income, then I need to ensure that I have a sustainable pipeline. And therefore, I have to wear two hats. One of a hunter, closing deals, bringing them through in a fast manner, and two of a farmer, which is seeding ideas into the future, right? And this is the concept behind xiQ. And then please, I'd love for you to comment on that as to the new reality that sales makers should also be looking at. The idea behind xiQ is exactly that on the one hand, we reduce the shelf life of this extremely valuable information because we provide it to you in real time. And on the other hand, we give you the ability to start using this to seed ideas into the heads of these currently dormant prospects and start seeing where the light starts lighting up, the bulbs start lighting up, and then go to those people, right? So I just wanted to say that because we use words like thought leadership and the idea gets lost, like what is a salesperson going to be doing with thought leadership? And guys, what we're talking about thought leadership and sales is the ability to use relevant industry information and news today to place an idea into the heads of your future prospects. And they start seeing you posting that news so they can gravitate towards you when time comes up for them to get out and take a decision, right? Your thoughts, Eric, on that, please.
Boy,
Usman, I'll give you the last word.
Yeah, I appreciate that. But you're spot on. Look, you think about it, you don't water one plant at a time, typically. You usually like to water the, entire garden, if at all possible. And in a way, it's kind of like that. So, I think I'd spoken earlier that it seems like our C-suite and, your buyer groups, a lot of individuals in the buyer groups kind of go out to, social media, LinkedIn articles, and kind of begin to formulate their opinions around a product or, perhaps a strategy to solve a problem within IT. And so they come in informed. My best sellers are the ones that are adding that value and nurturing the garden. What I mean by that is, look, back in the old days, it was pick up the phone and try to call somebody. Then caller ID happened, and you had less success with that. You then went to email, and you started to do mail merges, and it would be one customer at a time, and that was a little bit inefficient as well. Now the efficiency with social media and the vast amount of opinions that are out there, it's important that we have the ability to really foundationally have that emotional connection with our customers. Once we have that emotional connection, being able to get your message out there and having information given to you through the xiQ tool makes it easy for me to click a button and have this forwarded to specific connections within my LinkedIn, for example. There's other medias as well, but I particularly like LinkedIn for that type of information. And so it really allows me to get my information out there. So when a customer, maybe the customer's not ready to buy, but they're saying, wow, this guy or this gal is really providing great information. And you start to help them form their opinion. So when they are ready to consume a technology or move forward with the strategy, they're well informed with the information that you would, provided. And so I like the analogy of the hunter and the farmer. And, I think it's very applicable as I look at the way in which we, leverage xiQ at Dell.
Awesome. Well, thank you both. We have time for just one or two more questions. So I'd like to, first of all, thank you both. And then Eric, one of the questions that we have here for you is, you shared some really great success stories with us today. Tell us a little bit more about what your rep's favorite part of xiQ is. I know there's some other features that they like that we really didn't speak to, but would you mind elaborating a little bit on some of those stories?
Yeah. I'm kind of chuckling here because the mobile app has got to be the favorite, feature of my reps. There's other features, but they love the mobile phones and the ability to kind of have that information at their fingertips. I struggle a little bit with it because I got to put my glasses on to see the phone, but that's my problem. But no, they love the mobile application, and it's really cool. It gives you a very quick click through to get to the information that you want. But they love the buyer groups. In fact, I found out about buyer groups before my sales people came up to me and said, hey, look, check this out. And I thought it was really cool. And look, the social aspect of it, the social selling. If you look at my sales reps, the successful ones really take that approach and with their business. And so those are probably kind of the three main areas that they really love.
Awesome. Thank you. Yeah. And last question for you is, as a leader, how do you know your team's using xiQ? Obviously you've invested in this platform. You want to make sure your salespeople are using it. How do you know that they are using it?
Yeah, that's a good call out. So xiQ, I really like the fact that they've kind of are using gamification to really kind of incent the sales reps. And so, I can, as a leader, look and see, hey, what is the status of, my sales reps? Are they, orange belt, black belt, red belt. And so you have different levels based upon, the usage and how they're leveraging xiQ. So I think that's a really cool feature, and it allows me as a leader to kind of make some connections, meaning, hey, look, maybe you're struggling with, hitting your number, who are the customers you've spoken to? What's your strategy? Are you leveraging xiQ? And, some things that I've found out is, look, usually our top sellers, and there's a tight correlation between the top sellers within my team and the usage and the ninja levels within xiQ. And so it's really neat to see. That helps me as a leader to really understand who's logging in and who's leveraging the tool. And really, if they're struggling in a particular area, I can also help them with some strategies within. So that's for me, that's makes my job a lot easier.
Yeah. We are calling that now, Eric, the sales sigma. After the Six Sigma, we're calling it the sales sigma, and you earn your belts. And the gamification part is earning the belts by using it. So knowledge is equal to a higher sales sigma level that you will achieve.
Yeah.
I like it. That's awesome.
And I'll just wrap this up by saying, I think it's a really fun thing to do as well. You don't hear the word fun when you talk about AI driven platforms very often. And I would say, in addition to incredible intelligence, incredible insights, information that really helps you close deals faster, it's fun too. And the gamification piece is fun. When I've talked to some of your team, Derek, and they just love it. They use it as an icebreaker to open up conversations. They're walking around with their phone at a party and they're, bringing up personalities. So thank you for sort of elaborating on that element of xiQ platform. And with that, I think we're going to wrap this up. We want to invite all of you that are participating today and watching this webinar to our next webinar with Greg Downham of NTT Data. And he is going to be talking about how to shorten the sales cycle. Another great speaker. So please join us for that session. And Eric and Usman, with that, I'd like to thank you so much for your time today. Eric, it's always a joy to speak with you. And I would like to thank all the people that are watching this webinar today. Thank you for your participation. Of course, if you would like to learn more about xiQ, and we hope you would, you can contact us by going to our website, xiqinc.com, and booking a meeting with us. Or you can contact me at lgill@xiqinc.com or Usman at ushake@xiqinc.com. So with that, we'll end the webinar. Thank you both. Have a great day, everybody.
Thank you, Eric. Thank you, Leela.
Bye-bye.